have to give it a couple of minutes anyway for people to kind of check the video and log on.
Yeah.
So, start the stream the first couple of minutes, just waiting for people to log on. Hello? Is there anybody out there? Yep, a couple of people checked in. How's it going, Rich? How's it going, Kev? You alright? Sorry we're a bit late starting. We've been too busy having a game. We're addicted to playing Spectrum Next, and now we were just messing around with the Marty. So, just waiting for a few people to log on. Right, so, hello, good evening, and welcome to another live stream from YamYam Retro Gaming. And today, I'm not flying solo. I've brought along another YamYam to piss you all off with our accents. This is Aaron. A lot of you guys know him from the events, from Revival, another one of the team. And he's come along tonight to deliver our critique of the console we're looking at today, which is this bad boy. This is the FM Towns Marty. Console was released, haven't got the exact details. If I remember rightly, I think it was about 1990, 1991. It was released in Japan only, to my knowledge. I think it might have got releases later on in other regions. I don't have the full facts on this one. All I know is that the system is not terribly common. It's got some awesome games on there, and it's a shame that not many people have seen what it's all about. So, what is it? Well, it's the Fujitsu company. Basically, they made a computer called the FM Towns, which was, I think it used to run DOS, and then later it would run versions of Windows and other things. And they decided to consoleize it and make it into a console like this. So inside, you've basically got a 386 PC, and there are still hints to its PC heritage, mainly in its colour. I know, yeah, Chris, it's not something that's terribly common at all. I'll go into that shortly.
And then bloody deer as well.
Then bloody deer, yeah. So, yeah, it's a typical 90s kind of PC beigey grey. This model, thankfully, is not too faded. The blue glow you're seeing is just from the TV there. That'll probably go into standby in a minute, so don't worry about that. Like I say, it's about the equivalent of a 386 PC. It's also got a lot of the functionality of a 386 PC. You can see there the primary drive is a CD drive. Pop that open there. Typical quality CD drive from the early 90s. But then you've got a floppy drive on the side. The power switch off there. There's a PC MCIA slot at the bottom there, with which you can expand the memory. There's a keyboard socket. Moving around the front, you've got the reset switch, typical PC style, control LEDs there for PC MCIA card, power and drive access. Down the bottom there, we've got two joystick ports. They're DB9, but they're not the standard pinout, so you can't just use any joypad with these, sadly. There's also a special mouse you can use with this, which has got the same connection, but that's pricey and I haven't got one of those yet. Going along here, you can see there's a volume wheel and a audio in and audio out. Going around the back, we've got a figure 8 2-pin connector. There's an expansion slot there, and over here there is an S-video and a standard RCA composite out for the video, which is nice and convenient. Everybody hates proprietary cables, they're always just a pain in the arse. So, this is a Japanese console, recently picked up from one of my friends. He managed to get a couple on a great deal. Generally speaking, you'll be lucky to get one of these for under £400. Especially, well, that one's shocked you a bit, Aaron, did it?
Keep it.
Bit rich for your blood.
Right.
So, you're lucky to get one for under £400. Usually, they'll be quite yellowed and faded, as you'd expect.
This one's mint.
This one, thankfully, yeah, is in a very nice shade of grey. Now the blue's gone off the screen, we can see it better. There's no major scratches or gouges or anything like that. The only little bit of yellowing we've got is on the front of the joypad. There's a little bit along the front edge there, but a little bit of retro bright should sort that out. It comes with this rather nifty, I say 2-button pad. It's got 2 primary buttons, and there's also 1 shoulder button, which is very peculiar. Yeah, I'll go into that when we get into the games. And then on the front, we've got a select and run button, which are just like you select and start. It's a nice control pad, nice spongy controls, but a decent tactile response from the buttons and from the D-pad. And it serves as a great proprietary controller for this system. I managed to pick this system up for just over 300, so I think we've done pretty well on that one. Although the only catch is, with it being Japanese, of course, it did necessitate having to use a step-down transformer, which isn't a big deal, but my main step-down transformer is out at the moment with my other consoles that are being repaired, so I've had to pick up an El Cheapo Amazon jobby there just to run this. But it's absolutely fine. It only takes 23 watts, so it's perfectly rated for this step-down. So anyway, that's the system overview anyway. So what kind of games can you expect to see on this? Well, as you can see...
Copied ones.
Copied ones. Yeah, the good thing about early 90s CD-based consoles is, generally speaking, they had little to sod all copy protection, and the Marty was no exception. It's basically a PC, so the drive that's in there works just like a CD drive would have done on a PC, and it will read copies all day. It doesn't particularly wear out the laser any faster. Games for this are exceptionally expensive. You're looking at £60 to £80 for a typical game, or anything up to £200 for the rarer ones. But the good news is there are some absolute gems there, and since I can't afford the more collectible ones, thankfully I have been able to take backups of some of my friends, thankfully. So the type of games you can expect to see on here, this is where the FM Towns Marty kind of comes into its own. Being a PC derived system, the type of games on here are very varied in terms of the input and the style of games. So as you can see in there at the moment, we've got Image Fight. Now anyone who's familiar with their arcade games know that is a pretty decent arcade shooter. And being a 386 PC from the time and being a 2D game, you can pretty much expect it to be arcade perfect, and it is. There's also other shooters on the system there, like Galaxy Force 2. But it also does a lot of stuff you would expect it to have seen on the other home computers at the time. So, you can see here we've got Delphine Design's awesome Flashback. So, a pretty cool action platformer there. Sega did some releases on here. We've got an arcade perfect port of Turbo Outrun. We've also got Afterburner 1, 2 and 3 on the system, and they're all arcade perfect as well. We've got some exclusive games for this, a lot of hentai and strange anime things on this, which thankfully I haven't got any of. They're mostly
on that spool.
Yeah, on that spool. But they're mostly crappy text adventures anyway. Puli-Rula is a very strange kind of side-scrolling Double Dragon style beat 'em up, but with weird little anime children. So we'll take a look at that in a bit. It's got its own dedicated console exclusives like Super Shooting Towns. That's a great side-scrolling shooter. Anybody who likes the Neo Geo will be familiar with Viewpoint. Fantastic arcade shooter, and the version on this is pretty much bang on. And one of the best games for this system, a lot of people talk about, doesn't seem much by today's standards, but Splatterhouse is an arcade perfect port, albeit with the blood replaced with green.
What colour's his mask?
His mask is white. The proper Jason style mask from the arcade. And the sound effects and music are all intact from the arcade version. So, just going to pop the monitor back on. Are you ready to play, Aaron? Have you ever played an FM Towns Marty before?
Well, you want me to say no, even though I played it about 10 minutes ago.
So yeah.
No.
So, what are you expecting to find? Good or bad?
Well, for the price, I'm expecting it to be absolutely abysmal. Because usually that's the fucking what you get on the retro scene. The more expensive it is, the shitter it is.
Exactly.
But we'll see, let's have a look.
Right then, let's pop the TV on. Bring it back out of standby. Pop that lid down. Turn the power on.
So what we're playing now?
We're playing Image Fight first. This was the shooter that I bigged up about 2 minutes ago, so we'll see what other people make of it.
Oh, right, okay.
So when the system loads up, it does have its own BIOS, but if you've got a disc in, it loads straight into the game. And you can see their typical kind of 16-bit graphics affair there. How's it going, Bill? You alright? And you've even got the arcade-style warning screen.
Oh, we better turn it off.
Better turn it off. And typical arcade presentation.
I love that very toppy sound, you know, like that you didn't get with the SNES, but you got with the Mega Drive.
Yeah,
I love that.
Exactly. It's more synth than the MIDI. And into the game.
Okay.
Okay. You ready to go?
Right, at the bottom, that's your speed. I'll keep it on 3. And fire, and that's about it, really.
And that's it. Nice simplistic arcade gameplay.
The trigger button does nothing. Well, nothing. Even 3's too fast for me. The trigger button does nothing as yet. What? I don't even see what it means.
So, glad to see that arcade difficulty has been well and truly preserved.
It's got a big hitbox. This ain't like fucking Dodon Patch or whatever it's called, where it's just your cockpit.
A lot more hardcore then.
I think the whole ship is a hitbox, we'll see. Okay, maybe not.
So it's your typical vertical shooter affair, but you have got a kind of multi-layer scrolling effect going on there. The enemies are moving at different speeds to the background. The whole screen kind of scrolls around. I don't think it did that on the original, but...
Oh, you can control that little bit on your left as well. I think it moves in the opposite direction to whichever you move.
A bit like the R-Type pod.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Or, in fact, a bit more like... was it Last Resort on the Neo Geo?
Ah, yes, I know what you
Like
mean, yeah. Cool.
I might be wrong there.
So, a tiny little arcade shooter there.
Yeah, it's a bit like Truxton. It feels a bit like Truxton.
But yeah, I mean, this is a good place to kind of start when talking about the FM Towns. I mean, the PC didn't see that many arcade ports back in the day, but when it did see an arcade port, the PC version would obviously, 9 times out of 10, assuming you got the most up-to-date hardware, be pretty much arcade perfect. And the FM Towns versions were obviously the same. Now, the games for this are actually the same as the versions you could buy for the FM Towns. However, there were some limitations. In this, the RAM is slightly limited. Now, that caused a problem.
That's a big hitbox, sorry.
Now, that caused a problem because certain games which required a lot more to be loaded into RAM won't actually work on this. There's some fantastic later arcade ports of some of the best fighters out there. There's actually a port of Super Street Fighter 2 for this, which is arcade perfect, and there's also a port of Samurai Showdown. Unfortunately, and very sadly for this system, neither of them work on the Marty, because the RAM is too limited and the games just won't load. They'll work on the original FM Towns, but they won't work on the Marty, even though the base hardware is the same. They did actually release a second model Marty, which was a little bit cheaper and supposedly was a bit more powerful. When you actually tear it down, it's essentially the same system. Some people believe it's a 486 processor. In the Marty 2, there isn't at all. It's the same 386 processor as in this, it's just using slightly cheaper chips, which is why it was slightly cheaper to buy. Sadly, things like Super Street Fighter and Samurai Showdown still don't work on it. Hi Michael, this system, you're looking to buy one now, you're looking between £300 and £400 loose. You're looking anything up to £600 fully boxed. So not a cheap system to buy, but I would call it somewhat of a hidden gem, as you'll see with some of the other games we're going to demonstrate on there. So that's your typical...
Fuck.
Yep. Arcade affair. Frustrating and difficult as hell, but fast and addictive. And as soon as Aaron's about to die anyway...
Oh, cheers, mate. Whoa.
Told ya.
It's difficult.
We'll switch it up and we'll take a look at something a little bit different. So we'll just pop that off there. Swap it out. Pop flashback in, mate.
Okay. I love flashback.
Good game once you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, it's hard to get to grips with, but once you've got it, you've got it.
Well, Greg, I'm glad you asked. Greg's just asked, what's the benefit of having a 386 in a console versus a PC?
What the fuck you asking me for?
Exactly. Well, basically, the advantage of it, I suppose, is that look how small it is. A 386 PC from the time would have been a beast of an affair. Even the kind of desktop version would have weighed a ton. You need, like, you know, a myriad of cables. You'd have been limited to only being able to use a monitor 9 times out of 10. And
I imagine it would have been cheaper at the time as well.
yeah, you'd have to have bought an operating system and things like that. You can still get the FM Towns now. And like I say, technically they weren't drastically different from... they weren't drastically different from other PCs at the time. But packaged like this makes it more accessible for a typical console gamer. It failed hard, unfortunately, because it had a high price tag, limited range, and by the time it come out, other CD systems were starting to arrive, and this would have quickly been made obsolete. It has got a decent 3D processing power. I haven't really got any games to show that off, but there is a 4D boxing game, 4D racing game for it. And they scroll quite well, but what this does do well is it does 2D graphics very well. You know, Flashback people would have seen on a lot of systems. This looks pretty much and sounds pretty much just like the Amiga versions or the PC versions at the time. And it's, you know, it's going to be one of the most smoothest ways to play this game.
How does it compare to the Amiga CD32 stuff?
I'm glad you asked. Well, the CD32 was a bit of a lost cause because you already had...
Sorry, Duncan, if you're listening.
I know, yeah. The CD32, it didn't need to exist. They could have just released an add-on for the Amiga 1200, and the Amiga 500, and that would have been fine. There was no real need for it to exist. The FM Towns, nobody knew. Had they marketed this right, you know, it could have been an easy way to get arcade quality ports to a console generation, but it was a little bit too late and a little bit too expensive. I think that's the only hold up. It certainly had some backing. You know, Flashback was one of the biggest games of the time. I think you can actually play Minesweeper and Microsoft Paint on here, Greg. There are ways of doing it. I'll show you the BIOS screen shortly, although it is all in Japanese, so kind of hard to follow. So yeah, you'll notice all the different options on the screen there, none of which do much. Jump straight into the game. So we've got the nice FMV intro. What was this guy's name? He had a name, Travis something, was he?
Oh, Conrad, I think.
Was it Conrad, was he? I can never actually remember.
I might be thinking of Another World, though.
Oh, it could be, yeah. But you can see the animation is some of the smoothest. I mean, Flashback was renowned for its rotoscoped animation anyway.
Does anybody remember where the cheat is? There's a cheat you can run through one of these walls.
It allows you to skip a lot of the game, doesn't it, or something? Quite possibly. It might not have ported over to this port, though.
Yeah, I forgot how to do it.
But the colour depth, the animation levels, they're some of the best you would have seen of any port at the time. But obviously no one would have really known this existed. But you have to go down to the right, I think. There's a cube you have to pick up.
And that's like, yeah. I don't know if you said it 209. R2D2 helped me out, Blanc, and the cube in it. There is a way of climbing down rather than...
Try the shoulder one.
No.
No.
Stop that.
Pause.
Oh, that's right.
Now there's your items.
Oh, I'll just drop down.
That's alright, you didn't drop onto anything bad. There's your cube over there.
No, is the cube over there?
Yeah, you have to jump and grab and hang. That's it. I'm not sure how you actually lower yourself down.
That's it.
Hold down and tap something.
There we go.
First, hello cube.
Do I look at that now? I forgot, or do I just carry on?
I honestly can't remember. I never got far into these games. They weren't my thing.
I completed it back in the day on the Mega Drive.
Did you? You did better than I did then.
It's a brilliant game. I mean, you wouldn't think it now the way I'm playing it, but...
Yeah, it does look pretty cool, Mike. I mean, for the time, this was pretty much as good as you would have seen. I mean, obviously, it passed us by. You know, it was in the wrong region. You know, it came out at the wrong time. It wouldn't have had the marketing behind it. I mean, you got to remember at the time this came out, Nintendo and Sega were flying high. The 8-bit home computers were still reigning supreme. The back end of the 80s, early 90s in the UK, you know, so this would have been far ahead of a lot of things we'd have seen at the time. But, you know, for the early 90s, you know, the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo were obviously the go-to consoles. So it's easy to see why this kind of got lost. But the level of detail on this is far above any of those. And far superior to the ST or the Amiga in terms of... Well, not in terms of your playability. It's cool, Andy. Honestly, it's good. And again, nice drop in. But yeah, so we've already gone from like arcade shooter to awesome platformer. So let's see what else this bad boy can do. Let's kill it. Sorry, I'll have to kill your gameplay.
I ain't get over there anytime soon.
Let's jump on. Let's go back arcade way.
What we got?
We've got Viewpoint. Anybody? Andy's just logged on. Andy, you're a Neo Geo fan. And yeah. So let's check out Viewpoint. Viewpoint, of course, one of the games that I think it doesn't emulate very well on the Neo Geo multi-carts. It's one of those games that I don't know if it runs on the Neo SD yet, but this port of it is pretty much bang on.
Oh, I know this game.
You know this game, of course you do.
I ain't saying I'm going to be any good at it. Might not make for good viewing, but...
Some people familiar with this, not everybody, but a very fast isometric perspective shooter. The speech is right up there, all the effects are there, the graphics are there. The scrolling's nice and smooth. How does it control?
Lovely,
well.
absolutely lovely. Perfect.
I say it's not considering it's a very basic joypad.
It's a nice joypad.
It feels good, doesn't it? It doesn't make too much clicking or anything like that. So quite an accessible system.
Yeah, I really like it. This shoulder button's a bit weird, but
it is. I'll explain what that's for when we go on to the next game. There's a reason it doesn't do a lot in the games, and you'll see why.
Does it take up some of the heavy lifting from not having a keyboard or something?
What it actually does, it actually on some games, not all games, it actually performs an additional function. The resolution that it displays these games at is slightly off from their native. So even though they're pretty bang on arcade ports or other console ports, the resolution it's displaying them in is very strange. Now, to keep it all in proportion, they've stuck with the original game's proportions, and they're not, you know, the graphics haven't been redone, the animation hasn't been redone. Instead, we've got a kind of scrolling screen effect. You'll notice it in a few games. But what you have got is there's an option on quite a lot of these games to change the resolution display on the fly. You can do it from the menu in certain games. You can do it on this. There's a low resolution mode and a high resolution mode, and there's also ability with some of them. If you hit the shoulder button, it will actually change the resolution during gameplay, which is why it's there. It doesn't work on all games, but they implemented it in quite a few of them. So that's why it doesn't tend to do a lot in many of the games. So again, more kind of joypad control games. Now, amongst this stack here, like I say, it's a very diverse system. We've looked at space shooters, but we've also got things like this, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And yes, it is. It's the LucasArts point-and-click adventure.
Oh, I was expecting it to be like
the action platformer. No, it's the point-and-click game.
Nice.
Now, the reason that's very strange to find on a what would have been a very advanced console for the time, you know. But the reason it is there is because it's just a PC game, you know. And the beauty of this system is because you can plug in extra peripherals. You're able to play games like that where you would need keyboard or joypad interaction. It didn't actually, mouse interaction, and it didn't actually need to be ported. Now, the only drawback to that is, of course, we've got a proprietary keyboard connector and proprietary mouse connector, which means that sadly we can't play that game properly.
How much are the mouses? Mouses, yeah.
Pricing up a mouse the other day, £80 for a mouse.
Fucking hell, he's made out of gold.
Exactly, that's a lot of money for a mouse. And the keyboards, I'm not even sure. I think the keyboards are a bit more common to come by, but it's a lot of stuff you've got to have plugged in to be able to play all the different games. Some games have been modified for playing on the joypad. One of those being the original SimCity. Now, SimCity, obviously, a very good game. In fact, we'll jump onto that now just to show you what it's like. And like I say, this is a strange exception because you wouldn't have actually... Just see if we can find SimCity amongst that one, maybe. Not SimCity 2000, SimCity. SimCity, of course, brilliant PC game. And even though they didn't need to port it, what they've done is kind of half-ported it. So even though you would have needed a mouse to play this originally, they've at least modified it so you can just play it with the joypad, which is quite cool. But you'll see some of its PC heritage when we actually fire this up in a minute.
I can never find it. Monkey Island, what a game.
It's there somewhere.
SimCity.
SimCity, there we go. Pop that in.
Diamonds.
Fire it up.
And dust.
And you'll see when it loads this time. Oh, by the way, the load times on this pretty good. You know, there's not seen any noticeable lag, have you?
No.
Between you know, FMV
levels
sequences
or anything like that, no.
No, there's no lag. There's no loading during gameplay. Some games will take a little bit longer to load than others, but not many.
There you go.
And here's where you start to see a bit of its PC heritage. Anybody who used to use Windows 3.1 in the day will be familiar with that layout. And you just want to hit the one on the left, mate, yeah, and hit the A button. And again.
Double click.
That's it. And it is just like double clicking on the mouse. I think we've hit the right one. There we go. And that looks very PC-esque. Yeah, I've got Monkey Island here, Andy. But again, I think I'm not sure, but I think Monkey Island you need to use the mouse, and I don't have the mouse. I could be wrong. I might fire it up in a minute just to test it.
There's Monkey Island 2 as well, so we can try.
Oh,
maybe.
Monkey Island 2. Oh, in fact, we'll try that next. So, as you can see, you're using the joypad to move that around. It's not too bad, is it? Hit the OK button. And you can see you've got your kind of Windows like layout at the top there. Again, I apologise for the shaky hands, guys. My gimbal's still playing up. And you've got one window which shows your overall map. And
now, I don't know how to play this, so you're going to have to talk me through
right,
it.
click on the left window there. That's your actual play field.
Right, okay.
And then on the left there, you've got your residential. You click the kind of thing you want to build. That's demolish.
Okay.
You've got power lines. You've got railroad. You've got roads. You've got residential areas. So you click on that and then tap a few for a few side by side. And then if you the icons at the bottom, those are your power stations.
Which one?
The one that looks like a coal-fired thing, just above the airport.
Oh
there.
yeah, right, okay.
If you plonk that next to the residential,
oh, that'll be nice for them.
that's all right. At least they're getting power, and in a minute they should get power.
Oh, is that what that symbol flashing?
That's what
is?
symbol's in there. That stopped flashing because they're getting power.
Got yeah. Okay.
If you build a road next to the houses,
like across there.
yeah, just drag a line across the bottom. There you go. But a classic SimCity, you can't beat it.
Hang on. Try and draw a penis.
As you do. If it's not writing your name, it's drawing a road penis on SimCity. Oh dear.
Never mind. Yeah, this is like playing it on a PC.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Even without a mouse. I mean,
Yeah, look.
you can still drag the window around, place it where you want. I think you can drag and resize it as well if you go to the very edges. So, and you know, they've modified that to be able to play with the joypad. So, and it's not too fiddly. You know, you managed to draw a penis quite effectively.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, it's not too bad. So yeah, so the diversity of this thing, you know, is really showing through, you know, and the games just get better. I mean, the further, I mean, SimCity, another classic. We've seen some great arcade shooters so far. Let's try another. Let's see if we can get one of the point and click games to play ball. Let's give Monkey Island 2 a whirl.
Well, let me at least finish writing tits. There you go.
Do you feel better? Do you feel proud of yourself?
That's all right, those, mate.
Do you feel happy with that, do
Right,
you?
that.
Is your life complete now?
Yeah, man. What do you want on there, boss?
Let's put on Monkey Island 2, we got there.
Okay, that's more likely to have a joypad. They wouldn't stop you using a joypad in the second one, would they?
I wouldn't have thought not. I mean, there are a few point and click ones here where you can't use a joypad, but let's give this one a whirl. I think this one's got like a menued command thing rather than needing to type it or anything like that. He won English. English.
This is one of my favourite games of all time. The only Monkey Island I haven't completed is the PC exclusive one. I think it was the third one. Yeah. Because the first two have been on everything. And the fourth one was on the PS2. The fifth one was on the Wii. And I think there's only been 5. But the third one, it was only ever on the PC. I've got it. I've got the big box version. Fuck all to play it on.
I'm not that familiar with the series. If anybody out there can tell us how many there were, then shout it out.
I think it's 5. The fifth one was episodic, I think, on the Wii. But it's been put on the PS3 in that sense.
Ah, right, okay. Right, check one. I want it all. All the puzzles, all the work. Monkey 2 Lite. I've never played an adventure game before. I'm scared.
Well, it's got to be that one, eh?
Go on then, brave man. Yeah, the load times on this. I mean, there's some early 90s CD systems where the load times are absolutely damn horrendous. Neo Geo CD suffered from bad load times. Just hang in there for a minute. Neo Geo CD suffered from bad load times. It had bad RAM, which made it worse.
Put the screen on there and that can.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. And then you had the Saturn had a slow CD drive. Even the PlayStation, getting to the better systems had a slow CD drive. The games are more basic on this, but the load times aren't ridiculous. And not only that, but if I shut up for 1 second, deathly quiet. No CD drive noise, no stupid fan noise. It's a very, very quiet system. Exactly, Andy. Exactly. So the game's kicking in now. LeChuck's Revenge.
That's the Ghost Pirate.
I barely remember the first one. I think the first one I first played through on my friend's 286 PC.
Well, the one that got me into it is the one that I think most people think's the weakest. The fourth one on the PS2. I brought that on a whim and absolutely fell in love with it, and then I went back and played the first and the second and the fifth.
See. And obviously being a direct, this is the actual PC version, so visually and sound-wise going to be pretty much identical. Ah, right.
Hang on,
just hit play, yeah.
Which was a bit sensitive.
You won't actually be able to save or load, unfortunately. This thing has got an internal battery, and as you'd expect with a system of this age, it's dead. So you can't save anything. Not only that, but some people are probably wondering at this point what the hell the disk drive is about at the side. Now, some games came on disc only, not very many. Some games required a disc to be able to save games, and some won't actually let you proceed unless you've got a disc in to be able to save a game. Prince of Persia is one of those. Prince of Persia 1 and 2, both released for this, but I can't play either of them because I need to format a 720 kilobyte floppy and put that in, and I don't have any available. But worse still, there were 4 Monkey Island games from LucasArts. The 5th was a 4-part episodic version from Telltale.
Oh yeah, of course it was, yeah.
There we go. Thanks for that, Brian. Appreciate that. So yeah, some games unfortunately had some kind of copy protection in that you needed to have a floppy boot disc in order to run the CD. And obviously with that, I need to get myself a stock of floppies if I want to be able to play those games. Because at the moment I can only play those that use just the CDs, and even then only the ones that use just a joypad.
Big whoop.
Big whoop. Got the brightness a little bit high on this telly, the contrast. I'm going to turn it down a bit. Still, this is a better TV than the one I was using. The one I was using before just kept blinking off and going to power save mode and all kinds of crap.
And, I mean, people probably already know this. This and the first Monkey Island, they redid them. They didn't just port them to the Xbox 360. They used voice actors. Or the voice actors they used in like the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th game, they brought them back to redo 1 and 2, and you can just press, I think it's like the select button on the joypad, and it'll switch straight to this graphics.
Yeah.
Press it again, it'll go to the modern graphics with the voice acting.
See, why can't they redo more classic games like that? You know, it's an easy win if you want to capture a retro crowd. Just give us a nod to the original games, you know, let us play them the way we want to play them.
On the fly as well, you ain't got to pause it, so you just press the button and it switches straight away.
Superb. I might have to check those out at some point.
Damn, really good, mate, really good.
All that, and we're just getting to part 1.
If I remember right, this is by the pub on, well, I think the Scum Bar, I think. We'll see. Well, that's if we can play it.
Well, that's where was it the title of the emulator, Scum? Was it Scum
Yeah, it
VM?
was. Yeah.
Came from the name of the bar. So let's see if
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah.
So you can actually play this with the joypad, which is quite nice. I'm assuming it's not as smooth as the mouse, but at the end of the day, all you're doing is picking, you know, commands from a list there, so not too hard to do.
None shall pass. What shall I say? Is this some sort of a bribe situation? Sure, take my money, I don't want any trouble. Who's going to make me shorty? I don't pay for nothing, I'm a pirate. Well, it's got to be
that one.
shorty.
What you gonna do?
Is he going to punch me over the edge?
It's the equivalent to saying, oi, car park.
There you go. There is a part in this game, I think, where you do end up over a bridge and you do drown and you start to go green, and I think you get an achievement for it on 360 if you're staying there long enough so as you drown.
We've inspired Andy here. Andy says he's going to try and pick it up for his 360 now, so Andy's been inspired.
Oh, it's brilliant, mate. Both 1 and 2 on there. Please, not my new coat. Okay, put me down now, I won't have to hurt you. Then who eats the donuts and... Okay, then.
And who keeps up the... Oh.
He's a bit bloody sensitive.
Who eats the donuts and roughs up the transit... What's this, transvestite for a minute then?
We'll have none of that.
Who's roughing up transvestites? So you're going to get robbed?
I think I've been robbed.
Oh, that's nice, isn't he? It's only a little bit... How did he pick you up, man? He's tiny.
And he's wearing a wig.
And bell-bottom pants, by the look of it.
Lime green. Okay. Yeah, that works perfectly.
Hi Tony, how you doing? Let me just read what you said, 1 second.
Right, yeah, I've got nothing now. He took the fucking lot. Tory bastard.
Somebody on here, Aaron, has just... What were we just talking about? Somebody on here has just said, when are you free and available? I'd like to talk to you about the Spectrum next. I only just found out it existed. I've been following the Vega Plus fiasco.
Oh dear.
Tony, I'll have a chat with you after this video, mate, if that's all right. I just wanted to go into this a bit more. Stick around. I'll have a chat with you.
Something went weird then. I walked into a hut.
Yeah.
And it's gone back to the menu screen.
Let's go back to the menu screen.
I think so. Unless he's asked me to pick the language again, and obviously I've picked English.
All right.
So I wouldn't have thought you'd have to do that for every room. If it starts at the beginning again, we know there's something wrong with it.
Yeah. To be honest, I literally managed to copy and burn that yesterday, so...
I see why I just got a duff wrong.
Got a chance, I've just got a duff from, yeah, it's reset by the look of it.
Yeah, it has.
That's alright, I'll burn a new version.
At least you know you can play it now.
At least you know you can play it, that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing. So, okay, let's go back for a bit of action then. Let's go to where I was talking about. This, rated by many as probably one of the best games on here that you can actually play.
I love Splatterhouse!
There's one more I really wanted to play, one of Capcom's titles, which unfortunately I've got a bad ROM of again. Muscle Bomber, Saturday Night Slam Masters.
Never played it.
Never played it.
Oh, the wrestling game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, sorry. Yeah.
With Mike Hagar and a lot of other characters in here.
It don't really play like a wrestling game that much.
Yeah, it plays more like a cross between Street Fighter and a wrestling game.
A bit like, sort of like Final Fight-ish. Well, he's in
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got a bad ROM, else I'd have burnt that. There's also Lemmings 2. There was also Final Blow, the arcade box that got converted for Mega Drive as, was it Buster Douglas Boxing?
Oh, yeah.
Right, now you can see on this, the screen layout is kind of funky. So, if you go to Setup, go down to Display Mode, and just tap left or right,
Oh, hello.
you'll see it then switches between several different resolutions.
What do you want?
I think the version we want is Low Res Zero, that one.
Okay.
That is the most kind of proportional arcade one. And then just hits game start. And you can see you got the proper Jason hockey mask.
No purple bullshit.
No purple bullshit.
Have you ever played the Splatterhouse on the 360 and PS3? They got slated to fuck. I mean, he got like 2 and 3 out of 10.
Was it the remade? Was it like a remade sequel? Was it?
No, it was a reimagining of the first one.
Yeah.
It was, you know, like in the vein of God of War, Devil May Cry, and it got slated, and I fucking love it.
Played it.
I love it. I mean, it's ropey compared to like its peers. Like,
yeah.
But the way I look at it,
but not as bad as what people say.
If you like gore and you like heavy metal, you'll love it.
Well, that's worth mentioning. Obviously, this, you can see the sound, the graphics, all arcade perfect, all the animations there. They have, however, toned down the violence slightly, I would say. I think there's slightly less splatter from everything that does splatter. There's not much blood coming from the bats. I think a lot of the demon-looking things actually got green blood on this. But there is still blood there and dead bodies and stuff in the background.
Who's going to pick a plank over a big chopper?
It is cool when they're splat at the background though, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I should have got it, shouldn't I, for that?
You'll be in the sewers in a minute, you can do it there.
Oh, big head.
Oh. Should just run to the ladder. You walk through them if you want to run to the ladder. Oh, the screen catch-up crap's still there. Oh, this room always freaked me out. So you can see there's not massive loud, there's a short loud time there between stages, but nothing's going to bother you.
There's a good place to stand, isn't there?
Far right hand side. You can see what I'm talking about with the resolution now. If you walk over to the right, you'll know this is a fixed room in the arcade. If you walk over to the right, you can see it scrolls slightly. And they've done that because they've actually kept the rest of the graphics in the arcade proportions. But obviously the resolution of this is different to the arcade. The PC Engine, yeah, Brian, the PC Engine version of Splatterhouse, don't get me wrong, it's still a very good game. It was probably the best, you know, version of Splatterhouse we got at home. The Mega Drive sequels were a bit you got leeched.
Sucker punched.
You got leeched by the leech.
Oh, I made that mistake again.
But yeah, I mean, up until this point, the PC Engine version was the best. Now I've seen this. I mean, obviously, it's by modern standards, it's nothing fantastic. But back then, finding perfect arcade ports was difficult.
Oh yeah, if you get the one on the sort of like the reimagining on the 360. If you
that's right.
It's got all 3 Splatterhouses.
That's right, yeah. Can't you? So you can pick the mask type as well, can't you?
Yeah, you can have a purple mask as well, and they don't do anything, but you can.
But you can do it.
You can do it.
It was like a skull, wasn't it, on Splatterhouse 2 or Splatterhouse 3?
On Splatterhouse 3, he sort of got this superpower beast mode, I think, and that was like quite sort of pseudo 3D. The third one, you could walk up into doors and down into the foreground and stuff like that. I always like the second one the best.
I love this. See, you still got the nice animated backgrounds with the rather mashed up dead guys moaning, hanging on spikes.
I mean, look at him. Imagine if that was your life. Imagine if you were him.
I've had a few nightmares like this. Oh, I love that. Shut the spanner at him.
Spanner.
Oh, nice. 2v1.
Come on, YamYam gaming. It's a spanner.
Spanner. That's the term I take for granted. So you might have noticed I do sound a lot broader tonight than I usually do, guys, and that's because I've got another YamYam in the house. Can't help it.
Can't help it.
Have you ever put 2 Scottish people together? It's exactly the same story. Now's where you get the stick.
I like the way you don't even bother with the ladder.
It just dives down. This is where the stick comes in. Awesome, handy.
Oh, the sewer. I love it. I don't know whether it's the same on this one.
Bang!
But in Splatterhouse 2, when you press up, he looks like he's having a piece up the wall.
Yeah, he pretty much does.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I don't forget you can't do it on this level. You've got your slide tactic. The sliding kick.
What's that one that was, I think it was a NES Japanese exclusive, and it was Bollocks.
Was it just called I think it was just called Splatterhouse, but it was the super deformed characters, the little tiny sprites.
And it's a really good game as well.
I've never actually played it. I'd love to, because I was a big fan of this. Oh, mate. You lost your stick, see? That's what it is. When you lose your stick, it's all over. Game over.
That suck.
But yeah, I mean, that is as good as you were ever going to get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty good game.
That was bang on. It played lovely as well. This joypad's really good.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The good news is the joypads are quite expensive as well, but I have read online apparently the wiring for this is exactly the same as for the Sharp, is it the Sharp GX?
1472.
Whatever it is, yeah. X68000, that's it. And apparently they did release an adapter for this to be able to use a Mega Drive pad. Well, sorry, for the X68000.
I was going to ask if there was an adapter.
To use a Mega Drive pad. Well, there isn't one for this, but it's very easy to do. I've had a look online. You can take a Mega Drive adapter, you swap round 3 wires inside there, and it basically turns it into the right pad for this.
Nice.
So I've got about 1 million Mega Drive pads, including a few cloned pads. So I might just sacrifice one of those and make that for a second pad for this, because there's loads of cool two-player games for this. I'll show you that weird game I was talking about now, seeing as though we're kind of on that vibe.
Yeah, go on then.
Kill this. I'll just dig it out of my pile. Here we go. Pooley Ruler.
Never heard of it.
Some of you out there might be familiar with this. Anybody who likes their anime or likes obscure Japanese shit.
So basically, weeb shut-ins.
Yeah, it's odd. You'll see.
Neck-beardy, perverted weeb shut-ins.
No.
Is that what's going to appeal to?
No. There's
because
no.
I mean, if it is.
there's no Japanese girls' knickers in this one. You don't want to play now then.
So what's it about then?
I have no idea. It's in Japanese, man. I don't know shit.
Forget it.
Something like that. Keep it as that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, there's loads of tentacle porn for this, Andy, but I haven't got any, thankfully.
On this spool.
On this spool.
Well, it looks nice.
It looks...
I'll tell you what it reminded me of when you walked out of that shop then.
Go on.
Cosmic Spacehead, for some reason. The beginning town part.
It reminds me of Professor Layton crossed with...
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Why did he turn
into a dog? Yeah. Why not?
Can I do anything with it?
Why are you hitting people with little Bo Peep's cane? Why is there a weird bird statue telling you to move on?
Pigs, dogs.
Don't eat the dogs, man.
Fuck the dogs.
What the hell was that?
I have no idea. The shoulder button does nothing. The pause button pauses it. The select button does that, whatever that is.
Wow, you just called some weird, angel thing?
I think I broke the game.
Has it crashed?
Yeah, I broke it. Yeah, man, I felt supposed to do that. Don't press the select button.
Won't it unpause now?
Nah, it's fucked. put it back on, man. Put it back on. Oh, that's alright, that is.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Just avoid the select button.
See, it wouldn't be a Japanese console review if there wasn't some strange, fucked up, crazy anime thing to be playing on there. It's just kind of compulsory when you're playing a weird Japanese console.
What's that really weird Japanese shooter? I mean, I know there's lots. But
are you on about...
Chowanaki, is it, or something?
Oh, there's loads.
There's like these muscle-bound blokes in...
The Parodius series is weak enough.
Oh, no, it's weirder than that, mate. They've got like holes in the head that plants grow out of, and you can just like a
I know the one you mean.
Man.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. See, if you're a player too, you could be the weird little girl.
Yeah. Alright, old man, I've heard of it.
Said you got to talk to the geezer who looks like the king off a deck of cards. Now beating up the dogs.
And you can fuck off as well.
Hey, you were there last time.
No, I was hanging around over there.
Oh, that's why.
There you go.
Oh, he's back again. Oh, he runs off.
There are other moves, but I haven't quite worked out.
Is it like depending on which direction you push him when you press attack?
Yeah, I think. There's one. There's two.
Is it like pressing
three.
up and...
Down does one. Forward does one.
Bit like Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
Different direction. There's a slightly different attack. Although I'm not going to say this is anywhere near Turtles in Time.
Look at that. Look at the perspective going on there.
Your arm's in front of the house, but you're behind the house.
Fuck me. That's a shit house. It's got no back wall on.
You gotta go down the sewer. How does it look?
Hang on.
Is your body going to disappear?
Good.
Oh no, you actually did animate down there. You killed a copper.
Good. Fuck the police. Look at that. Look at that. Oh.
That's you got to fight the weird dude now with his hand up a puppet's arse.
Oh, I bet that's a real boy. Shit. Yeah, you're a bit limited on your moves, but I don't think we was expecting much anyway.
Maybe you get powers up the further you go. You got your magic. That was your fairy, wasn't he?
Alright, pressing that again. I risking me.
And now he's turned into a bird.
Of course he has.
Hey up, puppet's going. Oh, I thought the puppet was going to.
I tell you what that looked like. Fucking Red Dwarf, Dwayne Dibley.
Dwayne Dibley. Dwayne Dibley, the puppet's going to kick your ass.
Just leaves the copper for dead. Now I'm in black and white land. Sepia world.
I like his little strut. He's got like he's walking like he's a bit cocky, isn't he?
Yeah.
Loading.
Loading times are really quick.
They're pretty good, are they?
Yeah.
And again, it's silent, so you wouldn't even known it was loading then if you hadn't looked at the light. That's something I am most impressed with this. I mean, considering it's one of the early CD systems, it's one of the better built.
Right, I'm going to try and press select now and see if I'll break it again. What?
Oh, tornado?
Oh no, it's still on. It's just that little fucking fairy bitch that fucks everything up.
It's still coming.
Oh no, I like it.
Tell you, there's the music.
No.
Look out for the punk pelicans or flamingos or how the hell they are.
It's a bit, it's reminiscent in that way of Sonic the Hedgehog. You got robots.
Yeah, and you knock them out and rescue the animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you ain't got dudes with big like gloves on their head like that, or weird perspectives.
Here we go.
Squeal like a pig. Squeal like a pig.
What the fucking hell's that? Hello, cocknose.
Oh, it was an arcade game, Brian. I'll have to check it out if we've got the arcade version somewhere. I'm guessing this is a pretty close arcade port then.
I'm going to try select again when it comes on.
That's like, whoa, look what's happened to her nose, man.
It's cocknose. Fucking have it.
Where do they come up with this stuff, man?
Oh, here we go.
She's going to crash the game.
Oh no.
Now she battered it. And now it's turned into a boy. Or a man.
Have it.
So anyway.
It's quite good.
It's quite good. So that was the FM Towns Marty. Expensive. Pretty well built.
Look at this. What the fuck is this?
And weird as shit.
This is like that game I was on about. That Cho and Anarchy, whatever it's called. It's got like proper superimposed people in it. Badly animated.
That's just...
What's it doing?
Look at that.
What?
You know, that's going to be the thumbnail now for this
Look
video.
At this! That's a leg. That's a woman's leg in a stocking.
Exactly, Andy. Exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's just wrong.
But feels so right.
Please don't tell me you're going to go through the door.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And there's a planet in it. I mean, I've been with some women with some big fannies, but I've never had planets in it.
I think you're going to dodge it, mate. Going to crush you. What's on going to be a newspaper?
It's like that Michael Jackson video. Leave me alone.
Tripping balls, man.
Yeah. Is it? Can they see this, or is it just us?
No, they can see it.
Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, it's only just us. Anyway, we'll wrap it up. We've been on an hour. So that's the FM Towns Marty. So YamYam 2.
Go on. The game that keeps on giving.
This is just too weird, man.
Yeah, see ya.
So what do you think?
I won't pay the money for it, but I'm very much enjoying playing it.
Interesting system.
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting system. Definitely some interesting games. Be good to get the other peripherals and test the rest of these out. No tentacles this time, Andy. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, but I think this bloke's stoned.
What the hell?
Hang on, there's more.
Yeah, I'll draw the line at sumo wrestler ass.
Fucking hell.
So that was YamYam Retro Gaming's coverage of the FM Towns Marty. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back in a couple of days' time. We've got one more upcoming Spectrum Next game to show you, and it's another good one coming, another premium title. So be sure you subscribe to the page. Make sure you keep your alerts on and share it, and I'll inform you of when we're going to do coverage of that. Take it easy.
Oh, I'm dead.